need help lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed. There's a lot of thyroid issues going on. I seriously go around with a little spoon. Everybody gets their own spoon because they're not little anymore. They start complaining. So everybody gets their own spoon. And in this pandemic, it can feel overwhelming, and we can let the fear take over. Do you find yourself with fear during this time of pandemic and COVID/coronavirus/Chinese virus/craziness? Do you find yourself feeling a lot of fear? I'd like to share some ways that my family has figured out how to release our fear and hold tightly to our faith. In the scriptures, there's a verse that talks about faith without works is dead. And there's a saying that goes, you pray as though everything depends on God. And then you get up and you act as if everything depends on you. So the idea of having faith and doing some steps and taking some actions and work to help make your faith brighter is what we've tried to do as a family. We have two things that we do that I thought we could share. The first thing is that we have an immune enhancement bucket. It's kind of falling apart. We've used it for several years now, and somebody fixed the writing. I thought enhancement started with an I because in like I-N, but it's English and I still haven't mastered it. So somebody fixed it for me. Thank you. Immune enhancement bucket. And we have felt in our family that the best things to put in our immune enhancement bucket is vitamin C, which is awesome for cold and flu season and other viruses. Icelandic kelp, which is good for your digestion and your thyroid, which thyroids need help lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed. There's a lot of thyroid issues going on. Vitamin D, we've got the swallowing kind. And then, of course, we have the chewables for those, 15-year-old kids who can't still swallow a pill because, that's life. And then there's two things that aren't in our bucket that we also use every morning. And that's cod liver oil, which is really good for heart and brain function, including anxiety and depression and learning disabilities, which we have some of that going on in our family. And then kefir, which is a probiotic and good for your digestion. And I just get a tablespoon, and in the mornings when my husband and the kids are reading scriptures, I seriously go around with a little spoon. Everybody gets their own spoon because they're not little anymore. They started complaining. So everybody gets their own spoon, and I just gave them each their cod liver oil and kefir. Then I put the spoon in the sink, and then I go to the next kid. And while they're being spiritually nourished and strengthened, and they're also being physically strengthened and nourished and fortified. And that's what we do. One of the things that we do in our family to hold tight to our faith and let go of fear, because this is something that we have control over, and the rest is up to God. The next thing I'd like to share is another practical tip. This is our mask bucket. It comes out during laundry time. We throw our masks in the bucket. We put in some OxyClean and some water, and then we throw our masks in here, and we let it sit throughout the day. And occasionally I'll just put my hands in there and move it around just like a washing machine. I know most of us aren't used to hand washing anything. So this whole hand washing mask things is kind of new to a lot of this generation, my generation and younger, and it's really not that hard. You just soap, water, and the movement. And then when the day's over, we wring it out, we get the extra soap out, and then we rinse it in the sink with some water. And then these ones, they can get wrinkly and uncomfortable, so we just straighten them and flatten them out and then let them dry in the shape that we want them to be in. And you can just drape it over the empty bucket when it's done. And then they can dry. So there's some practical tips on what we do in our family. I encourage you to find things that you have control over, because in this pandemic it can feel overwhelming and we can let the fear take over. And when we're working under fear, it's hard and it's stressful, and it's not a good place to be working in. So if we can drop the fear and latch onto our faith and take a few action steps that we have control over, then we don't need to be living in fear. We can let go of it. I encourage you to find ways that your family can take action so you can pray to God and leave the rest in His hands, knowing that you're doing what you can to keep your family safe.